welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel and you're just basically landed on my page right now, I'm AspieAnswersAll and I'm all about creating awareness and understanding of certain mental illnesses. This is just also awareness and understanding about my life journey with my everyday conditions that I suffer, and hopefully that you can get a better understanding about me as a person behind the mask of all these diagnoses. I'm also here as an advocate, hopefully, even though I'm not properly trained. Pretty much, I'm just here to share the life stories of mine versus just tips and advice of certain bits and pieces of certain things that comes our way, regardless what it may be, hopefully, so that I can be a voice for people of the ones that hasn't been heard as of yet. So if you're new to my channel, also basically I welcome you all with open arms, and hopefully with this channel it'll be friendly enough and inviting enough for you all that you won't feel judged or criticized, and maybe hopefully that, you know, we can connect one way or another versus, you know, commenting below if you need to, or private message me on Facebook, AspieAnswersAll, or direct message me if you've been watching my videos, if you want to just have someone to talk to. Just bear in mind that I'm doing my best to reply to everybody's responses right now, and I'm reaching out to you all. And all further ado, though, I want to welcome back the oldies that has been supporting me from day one. That I thank you all for doing so, and also for the ones that are there basically that maybe have been watching through Facebook. I thank you also. So, and all further ado, guys, basically just before I do the lowdown, what I've covered so far for the sensory processing disorder series versus the auditory processing series is basically, for the first bit, is the like introductory, which what is it, you know, the signs and symptoms, and now I'm going on to the causes, which is part 2, episode 3 of the sensory processing disorders, which is going to be in labeled as the psychology bit of it. I don't know as such, but it's going to be just under the playlisting of, you know, sensory processing disorders and auditory processing disorders. Okay, as we know, basically, you know, inside the midbrain, or shall we say before I begin, that there has been many recent debates over many centuries of the causes of sensory processing disorders versus auditory processing disorders, and to this day I think they're still researching it out, but from what I can gather right now, there has been some information and research out there of basically why it's happening and everything else. So where it's happening basically of the sensory processing disorders as well, though, however, it's happening inside the midbrain and brainstem regions of our central nervous system, which are the early centers of the processing pathways for the multisensory integration. What I mean here is basically, if you want a clarification, is that as we know that, you know, with the brain and the nervous system, they work together as one, as well as any other, you know, body system groups that works together to have proper everyday functions that works perfectly well. So therefore what I'm meaning here also is that the brain and the nerves versus the nervous system and everything that comes with that obviously has photoreceptors versus just everyday nerve cells versus basically the nervous system, as well as the brain itself sending those messages from the neurotransmitters versus the chemical hormones of certain ones that actually comes into play with these nerves, be it the gamma versus the GABA neuroblockers versus whatever else it may be, that needs to send these transmit signals to certain parts of the brain to send an output reaction from our brain of a message, basically to create a desired output response. These parts of the brain regions are involved in the processes including what I've just said, basically coordination for starters, like your attention span versus basically your arousal, which is, you know, sexual arousal I'm meaning here, and just your autonomic functions, be it, for example, for autonomic from memory, if I can recall right, the anatomy physiology when I was sitting it, is your output versus like your kicking, your punching, your throwing balls and whatnot. I could be wrong. I might need to revert back to my anatomy book if I have to after this, so humble apologies. If anyone wants to do their research and actually comment below what I'm meaning here, I can gladly do some research myself of some parts that you may want to know about, you know, how the nervous system works, brain works, and whatever else, so that hopefully it all can come together as a better understanding, regardless what it may be. Another one is, after the sensory information, however, is passing through the centers of in the brain, basically of what I've just mentioned, for this also for the, you know, nervous system parts of it. It's then transported to the brain region, which is responsible for, obviously, in one part of the brain, which is the emotions, the memory, and high-level thinking functions. Some of the proposed underlying causes, however, by some current research shows that are as follows for basically sensory processing disorders are: 1. Differences in tactile and sound over-responsivity, as I said before, shows that moderate genetic influences. Number 2 is people with sensory processing disorders will have less sensory gating, meaning that basically they might not be able to feel much in a way of, certain messages isn't sending right to the brain properly, so it's obviously giving mixed signals to the brain of certain things. Here's a classic example that I introduced to you all before, was basically just your, hand on the stove, and obviously the message basically isn't coming through enough or quick enough for you to release off your hand, sort of thing. Number 3, with over-responsivity, may have increased oxygen receptors in the striatum related to aversion to tactile stimuli and reduced habituation, meaning there is basically lacking of oxygen, basically, and it's just habituation is obviously how we're peaking one day we're not. Recent research found an abnormal white matter microstructure in children with sensory processing disorders compared with typical children and those with other neurological disorders such as ADHD, autism, and the like. Other parts of the causes that I've been thinking of basically also is your functional and structural abnormalities, such as maybe, for example, your spinal bifida for kids that hasn't been formed, properly from birth. Trauma to or defect in sensory receptors. What I question marked there is, while I've been researching, could it be autism as well, maybe. Number 3 is your brain or head traumas. Number 4 is your biochemical abnormalities. What I mean here is basically is all about your, all your hormones versus your chemical receptors of the actual nerves versus everything else that goes into play with the nerves to actually function right, to send messages properly to your brain, to send those, bits and pieces. Sensory deprivation is another one, which basically what it means is there is you're lacking of the feel, touch, taste and stuff, and you just feel basically yuck or something, or you just don't feel do you want to eat or touch certain things. Another one is basically your prenatal drug alcohol abuse, which is basically your alcohol fetal syndrome, that if you drink a lot excessively while you're pregnant or what have you in the early stages, basically you don't realize sometimes you're doing more damage than good with that. And last but not least, as I said before, for the cause, it could be something like, for some people, that they don't like being touched and stuff due to what I said about the physical versus sexual abuse. So basically that, in all honesty, this is all what I can think of right now based on the causes of your sensory processing disorders, sort of thing. So give me the thumbs up, basically, just to show you're engaging and you're liking my videos, and hopefully some of these, just comment below giving me feedback, hopefully that some of these videos is of use or value to you. That obviously someone has already given me a feedback and they're looking forward to what I'm going to share about this, even though it's going to be a real long ass research on certain bits that I'm missing right now, so I humbly apologize in advance pretty much with this. So pretty much feel free to also comment below just for feedback, or just maybe a quick hello, you're engaging with me or whatever the case may be. Also feel free to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, AspieAnswersAll, and also private message me there on AspieAnswersAll if you feel the need or have to, basically so that you feel that you're needing to be reached somehow one way or another. Feel free to also basically subscribe to my channel for daily weekly vlogs if you haven't done so, basically, because I'm hoping to just keep on doing what I can for you all, so that it's all there ready to go, because like I said, hopefully all the other stuff that I'm hoping to do won't be too far behind what I want to address to you all right now, even though it's been really hard right now, but I know for a fact that it should be able to come into play one way or another. Also feel free to basically just share these videos around to family and friends. So, and all further ado, guys, thanks for your watching, thanks for your support, do what you love what you do, be kind to one another, be kind to yourself, be true to yourself. Till next time, I'll see you all again soon.